It's your anniversary. Yes, happy 45th anniversary to my podcast partner, Rodney, and his lovely wife, Rosalind. We talk about that and how sometimes men have a hard time remembering dates like anniversaries and the extent that we go to try to remember things. And what would we do without sticky notes? We hope you enjoy this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. What's going on, brother? Happy anniversary.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Man. Just like I was telling you in that text, man, I was like, yeah, man, we can do it tomorrow. I ain't even thought about it. I'm like, I'm glad it wasn't them younger years when somebody would have been pissed off.
I heard that.
She was like, I got up because, hell, we've been here the whole week. I ain't do nothing. She's been out a few times. I went out a couple of times for some stuff. Man, come in. We already decided, okay, we ain't doing that. We've been doing that for the last few years. Ain't nothing else to get. Everything you get now is redundant. So I took it straight like that. We ain't doing nothing. So I get up. She got a card down there and all this. I'm like, oh, man. But, yeah, we had a nice day.
Yeah. It's what, 45 years?
45, brother.
That's admirable, brother. In these days and time where it seems like people look at marriage as same way they look at buying a car. I keep it for a few years and trade it in to get to that point.
Yeah, there's a new and shiner one over there.
Well, yeah, that seems like the way it is. I know earlier this week on one of the shows, they were talking about, man, everybody getting divorced. All these people were, announcing they divorced and they were separated and been separated for a while and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, it just seemed like that was the season there for a week. All these people announcing stuff. But like I say, when you sort of go into stuff with that idea of, it ain't necessarily got to be forever. It's sort of like, when we did it, it was just the opposite,
That's it.
It just, these days, I forgot who I was. I think it was a radio station here in town I was listening to, and they was talking about somebody. I think they had just announced, or just not announced, but it was like their 10th or 11th anniversary. Like, oh God, they've been married forever. I'm thinking, 10 years, and you're going to say they've been married forever. But then again, like I say, that's sort of the mindset these days. If you can get to 10 years, you've done something, Oh,
man, that's you a relic. Hell, they them little dumb shows I be watching during the day sometimes. Well, how long y'all been together? 6 months. They act like that's forever. I cannot believe you did that to me. We've been together 6 months. And I'm like, girl, that ain't even nothing to talk about, 6 months, but man, these folks don't take no vows, and they the damn sure don't take them seriously.
No, like I say, it's just almost like I say, like going out and looking, get you a new car, okay, I'll keep it till the warranty runs out or trade it in before the warranty runs out on it. It ain't the same mindset that we had back in the day, man. It just it's amazing just to think about. But you look at our sort of core group of friends and all that we had, and we've all been, with Smitty and Helen and you and Rosalind and me and man, we all been together
40
over that 40-year punch.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, indeed.
So I guess it's sort of one of those things like, you sort of surround yourself with people with like values and things of that nature, and I guess that just sort of holds true.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you a certain partner of ours, if you hang around that long enough, you will end up divorced. But, it is that old thing they say. If 9 people that's in 5 bankruptcy, guess who's gonna be the 10th one? The circles you running in.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. That's
Yeah.
usually the way it goes, man. So, uh, like I say, congratulations on that. I know, I at one point there, I was missing almost every year. I got to the point to where I was writing it down
Yeah.
on my calendar and put it in my phone because I would just, you know, and Mary's like he's like Rosalind, they don't forget nothing.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And I, a couple of mornings got up and stuff be laying out on the dresser, on the table, or on the bed, or wherever she'd put it. And I'm like, oh God,
Yep.
I messed up again. So I started writing that stuff down. I
Yeah.
started, writing it down, and once I got a smartphone, I put it in there to where it would have it every year. I
Yeah.
got to go in and put it in. It would do it every year because, like I said, I was really messing up there for a while. Not so much. I mean, not on purpose by no means, but
Right.
just one of those things that I just would forget about.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I
It's
just
easy to
wasn't.
do.
Yeah, and so I just started doing everything I could to make myself remember. And then, of course, as the girls got older, they, Dad, you know what tomorrow is, or Dad, what's happening this week, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, what's happening this week, I'd be messing with them kind of thing. But as they got older, they even started trying to help me remember.
Yeah, man. I just since I done retired, I started losing memory of it, but I always remembered mine the whole time I was active duty because being September 30th, I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
We never really celebrated our anniversary until I retired because I was always at work trying to spend that money at the end of the year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
end of the year closeout, man.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember them days.
Yes, sir. So I September 30th was like, well, I know we ain't doing nothing because we always did it, whatever we was gonna do the following week.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it was kind of something new when I retired and started working another job when I was off on September 30th. I was like, oh, okay. But as time has gone by, boy, that memory done left. We've been sitting up here planning stuff and doing stuff, everything around these doctor's appointments and all that. Hell, I'm just getting confused. And because we've been trying to get back down home, and so we finally settle on next weekend or whatever weekend it is. And then I'm like, well, hey, OU Texas game on. I ain't leaving Saturday. Always something. And she talking about, no, I want to be here for Friday because they're taking the first lady out bowling or some stuff. And I'm like, well, see, now it's going to almost end up being next Monday.
Yeah, it's funny how those things come up. We working out stuff this week, or next week actually for little Digo spring break. I mean,
Mhm.
spring break, fall break,
Mhm.
and we were like, well, who's got plans on these days or whatever, and this fall break for whatever reason the after school programs at a school all the way on the other side of town.
Wow.
So we were saying, okay, well, I've got this going on, and Mary, well, I got these appointments, and Tamara's going to be here a couple of days. Of course, Tamara's going to have him a couple of days and stuff. And I said, I always tell myself, I always got that caveat. This is what it looks like today.
Good day.
I
Yeah.
said, but if something that comes up, or I forgot about something and I ain't put it on my calendar, I always keep that in reserve of that's what it looks like as of today.
Yes, sir. I know what you mean. And then there are times when I sit there and try to fool myself. Oh, I remember. The next time I think about it, like 20 minutes later, I'm like, what was that again? I don't even know what the hell I was doing. So I start setting up my little alarm in the phone. And then I forget about that. But I always make it like 2 or 3 hours before I'm supposed to do whatever I'm doing. I know I'll forget, and it'll go off, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. Well, I got a little time to get ready, to do it. So mine went off the other day. I'd already taken care of it, and I was like, what the hell is that? But I forgot I even put it in the phone, man. So
Yeah. Yeah. I even be arguing with myself, like just like what you just said. Yeah, I'll tell myself, "Oh, yeah, I'll remember that. Don't worry about it." And then that, then that alter ego of mine that said, "Remember, you can't even remember what happened 5 minutes ago. You better write it down." So here I go get my little sticky pad over. Yeah, you're
Yes,
right.
sir.
Let me write this down.
Oh man, my in my office downstairs on the computer desk is full of stickies, man. And then some of them, I'll be like, "Well, what was this?" Hey, you wrote the note. And I'm like, man, I'll be sitting there. I'm like, good God Almighty. So I have to write letters to myself because they have to be detailed because I'll forget
Yeah,
what it
yeah, that's
take.
what
But
I've
yeah,
done that
man.
too, and I've done things where I've written down a phone number and not
Oh,
put nothing with it. And
yes.
I look at the phone number and I'm thinking, okay, now whose phone number? Because the last thing I want to do is to call the number and it be somebody. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm
yeah.
trying to think. Okay, now when did you write the number down? Or if especially if it's like a 800 number, I figure it's some kind of business kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But if it ain't an 800 number, I'm like, okay, who do I know in that area? Because I go look at in my phone on the contacts, trying to bring it. Well, it ain't in my contacts, so it ain't somebody I really know. So what was I
Mm-hmm.
doing when I wrote that? And the first thing I said to myself, why didn't you write down who it was? I mean, what
Exactly.
you wrote the number down.
Oh, I
What's so
remember.
hard about writing the name down too?
Yeah.
So
Oh, I remember that. I remember.
yeah, that's where I am. I'll
Yeah.
remember. I'll remember. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I do the same thing. I have to go through that periodically and just start throwing stuff away. I'm like, well, ain't nothing come up about it since then, so I guess I'll just throw it away. So they be piling up down there, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I am too. I've got like four. I got two of the little sticky pads, and then I got
Mhm.
two of the line pads. I keep a long list on the line pads of stuff that I just keep on there forever, kind of
Right.
thing. And
Right.
then I got the sticky pads of stuff that I write notes on, and I hate to take one off the top and try to stick it back on there. So I have a second sticky pad in case I need to write. So I'm like, it shouldn't be this complicated.
No, it shouldn't. I know exactly what you mean. My the majority of my sticky notes are anybody that does anything that comes around here, hey, give me a business card. Then I write on the back, okay, he did this and he did this. And then on the other one, I'll put, especially if he do a good job and then he's a brother, I'm like, brother did this. So I know who I'm calling because after you start looking at them cards, they all look alike. Yeah,
Yeah.
cause I got this one brother on there, man. Bless him. He's good. He's a electrician, and he done a couple of things for me. And when I first talked to him on the phone, you know, I did when he rang my doorbell. I did what they usually do when they ring the doorbell, and then I answer the door. I was like, oh, like they wasn't expecting me. I opened the door and saw him. I was like, oh, and I wasn't expecting him. This is a brother, man, talking to him on the phone. He had that Oklahoma twang. How you doing, Mr. Turner? I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Hey, brother. But he's pretty down to earth. He's a good electrician.
Mm-hmm.
He turned me on to some more little contractors there that do good work. He said, I even have them doing work for me. So they pretty good. I'm like, okay. So if they in my wheelhouse where I need them, I give them a call.
Yeah, other day I was trying to. There's a couple of rooms I need to get the carpet stretched in, and
Mhm.
had a guy come over and did it for me it's been a few years ago, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to get this other room stretched now. So I go look at him in my phone, trying to find the guy. Of course, I don't remember the name by any
Exactly.
means. So I'm going through my phone contacts, trying to see if there's a name that sort of stands out that might be, who it might be. And I said, if his number is even in here, why didn't you put his name and, carpet stretcher or something
Right.
that you could go back, and look at the name? And I just, I beat myself up so much when I do stuff like that. Like, why didn't you put his name and what he does,
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm going through there. So I got to go back now. And I think there's a brother that lives in the neighborhood. He has a carpet cleaning service. But when I put out, we got this little neighborhood app. I put out on this neighborhood app. I was looking for somebody to do carpet stretching. Well, his wife, sort of monitors the app, and she said, "Oh, my husband can do that for you." So I said, "Oh, okay, send him on over." So he came over, and I knew he, I'd seen his van and stuff around the neighborhood. I knew he did carpet cleaning stuff. He came in and started looking around and said, "Yeah." Said, "Well, Mr. Gwynn, I actually don't do this kind of work. My wife always," I'm thinking, now your wife should know what you can and can't do,
I'm telling
and he said, "But I know somebody who does. I know somebody who does. I just want to come over and see what the job was like." And I'm like, okay, so he gave me this guy's number that came over, and he used to do it. He used to put carpet down, but he sort of retired. But he still does little jobs like that where people want their carpet stretched or whatever. So he came over and did a good job. But like I say, I think I got his number somewhere in my phone, but
you.
I ain't got it in there with his no kind of annotation that he's a carpet stretcher. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I said,
Yeah.
I might have to go back out there to this guy and say, "Do you happen to remember who it was that you sent to my house years ago to stretch this carpet for me?" And maybe, he would go. I do have his number, and see if he do that. 'Cause I didn't realize I was talking to another guy that lives in a neighborhood that we used to. He used to be out walking his dog all the time, and we just started talking. He's a big Cowboy fan, a big Braves fan, so we always talking about that stuff. And he was telling me that the one that's got the carpet cleaning business, that I didn't realize his son pitched for MTSU. He's
okay.
a baseball pitcher, and I guess he got drafted by the Dodgers.
Oh, okay.
He was telling me, he was talking to him, and that he was being scouted by a number of teams, including the Braves, who I guess thought they might sort of have a little bit of an inside track, but they just couldn't get to him in time, and the Dodgers took him. So I went out there, and because I don't follow MTSU baseball very much, but I went out there and looked at their roster, and there he was. So I'm like, oh, good, good on him. But yeah, I got to go out and try to find this guy that can stretch my car. What I did, I called Empire. They're the one put the carpet in back years and years ago. And I guess for like the first few years, they'll do stuff like that for free if they've sold and installed the carpet. But it's been so long. So I called them, and they said, "Well, it's going to be $125 just to come out and look. And then if we do the work for you, we'll take that off." I said, "Oh, this ain't part of from getting the carpet installed." It's, "Oh, no, your limit is like it's a 2-year thing window, and it was 4 or 5 years ago." I said, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Well, no, I ain't paying that much." So that's why I started looking around to try to find somebody else to do it. And I put that little ad out there, but just put the question out there, and that's where this guy came from. But yeah, I mean, I'm just getting to the point. Like I say, I just have to write every little bit and piece of detail now down, where I used to pride myself years ago on how I could remember anything.
Oh yeah. And that was years ago too.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly right. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, man.
Long time ago.
I had to do something like you just did. I don't know if I told you about that. I had a plumber come out here because we heard this noise from our pipes.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about
Did I
that.
tell you about that? Yeah, they finally sent a zero invoice. I'm like, why am I gonna pay you out here? Your guy recommended something bogus in the first place, and he couldn't figure it out, so he thought they're gonna try to sell me a $600 pressure relief valve for my water. My water pressure. And I'm like, I called the city out here. They said, no, we regulate that from the department.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Well, anyway, if I called my Culligan guy out here. Maybe it's something with them. Yeah, we walked all over the house. I think this guy was a little on. He might have been a, a gay guy because he had all the, he looked like it, whatever that means. But he didn't realize that Rosin was in the bedroom, so you could hear it in all the pipes. So we walked around to turn on the faucet so you could hear it. And it's when you turn it on, you can hear it a little bit, but when you turn it off, it sounded like a wounded animal, man. And so we were walking through the house, and so we were going towards the master bedroom. I said, "You have your clothes on?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." I was like, I was talking to my wife, man. He goes, "Oh, I thought you were talking to me." Well, rather look at me so funny. I was like, "Oh, it was a trip." And so anyway, long story short, nobody could figure it out. Well, he couldn't figure it out. So he said, "Well, let me check the faucets on the outside." I said, "All right." So it was kind of in the morning, so the sun was still on the east side of my house. And I said, "Well, man, because it was hot. That's when you walk out the door and just sweat."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, let's do the one in the back, man. It's still shade back there." He goes, "Oh no, that's all right." Excuse me. "We can do this one in the front. I don't mind." I was like, "Okay." We walked over there, man, from them dudes that's replaced my roof and done all the paint and stuff. Well, they use your faucet, right, to clean their stuff. And I know I saw one over there because I usually stay outside with them when they're doing work. But it was so hot, I'm like, "No, I'm going to see y'all inside."
Mm-hmm.
And they left the water on, man. It runs through my holes in a little container thing there. And when they were cleaning their equipment, I guess, uh, they rolled the hose back up and did turn it off. It had just been running.
Mm.
So whenever you turn the water on the inside, well, that noise outside, the pressure was on it. And so when he walked up to it, he said, "Oh, your hose is still on." I'm like, "Well, there's no reason for my hose to be on." I said, well, maybe it was one of those painters when they were painting my house. Sure enough, man, we turned the thing off, came back in the house. You didn't hear nothing. So I was pretty hot about that. And but it didn't affect my water bill or nothing, so I was pretty cool. Oh, okay. All right, but hell, if you're gonna use my stuff, turn it off, man.
Well, that was like Tara was saying. She got I think she said an email from the water department because they got all these like computerized meters now. They don't even have to come check your meters no more with the electricity and the water. But she said she got an email from the water department saying that there was, I forgot how many gallon use of water at like 2:30 in the morning one night. And she sent me a email, said, I got this thing from the water department saying that at this point that there was like it wasn't a huge amount, but it was like 2:30 in the morning where it should have been 2 or 3 gallons at the most. It was like 30 gallons that was used. And so she called and talked to them, and they said, it's funny, we had that spike for that like one time, and it never did it again because I know they have a water sprinkler system. And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." Well, the guy came over and looked at that, and he said, "Well, no, we don't see no leaks or anything." And he said, "If it was, it would be that rate for forever. It was not just a one-time thing." So don't know if it was a glitch in their system or if actually that was the amount of water that was used at that short period of time. Don't know what happened, but all of us, but I was like, with these new technology and stuff in the old days, you wouldn't even know that, about the only time, it's been some issues, you get a bill that, normally you pay $30, and all of a sudden your bill is $300.
Right.
But yeah, it was funny when you said about the water. Yeah, she got this notice in it. There was a unexpected spike in the use for like, and then it's like 1 hour period at like 1 o'clock in the morning one day that they called and just letting her know that had happened. But I don't know. Like I said, it ain't happened since. And they told her, matter of fact, I told her, I said, call them, because in the old days, they would send somebody out.
Yeah.
And they would try to see if there's a leak in your system. And she said, that lady said, no, we don't do that anymore. You have to get your own person to come out. She said, yeah, we used to do that. We used to send someone out, and they would check to see if there was anything going on from the line to your house. They wouldn't go in the house.
Right.
She said, but we don't do that anymore. We have to get all that stuff done on your own. But yeah, but they say it's always something.
So, it is, man. So the girls in Baltimore Place?
No, Tara's she's living in Uncle Bob's house.
Oh, okay.
She moved over there. Her and her boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
They were looking to get a place, and they were looking at going to this little town called Smyrna, which is the next town up from. Well, we were through there when y'all were here. It's not that far away.
Right.
But I said, well, that house is just sitting there, and I'd rather somebody be in there, and I'd rather be somebody in there that we knew.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not really wanting to be a landlord. I mean, the plans were to sell it, but you just, I don't know. I just feel sort of funny with him, still living and everything, even though I, know he ain't gonna ever come back to that house. I just ain't feeling like selling it yet,
Right.
So I said, well, won't y'all just go ahead and move in there? That way the house will be occupied. It don't need to be sitting there vacant, which really it had been for, I guess, about 2 months. Even though I'd go over there, 2 or 3 times a week to. The guy was still mowing the yard, and I'd go over to just check on things. I said, it don't need to just be sitting. So they moved in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing for a house to sit empty, boy. It start deteriorating itself.
Yeah, it does. As a matter of fact, the upstairs bathroom, I don't know if my uncle had not paid attention to it or whatever, but when Tara and them moved in, of course, they went in and was, just sort of deep cleaning the house and everything. And it was cleaning the commode and the toilet. And the next day there was a leak right down into the kitchen. And of course, right above that was the bathroom and the upstairs. The upstairs bathroom. So I had a guy come over and look. And of course, he had there's a bubble in the wall and everything. And he had to go ahead and cut a piece out, because at that point he didn't know if it was coming from a water line. That's what we thought it was a water line. And he went up there and he said, no, he said the toilet was almost not screwed down almost at all. He said, so probably when your daughter and them were cleaning, they moved it around, cleaning it, and it once that seal was it's got that at the toilet's got that little wax ring thing, and he said that's where your water, where it's coming from. It's not coming from a water line, which in a way was good, because if it was a water line, that means that was in the wall.
Yeah.
Where at least this was just coming through the ceiling in there. So had to get that fixed. And I told Tara, I said, this is a perfect example why I don't want to be a landlord, because the house, it's not an old house. I mean, but we've been living there almost 20 years now. The house is about 20 years old, both his and ours.
Right.
And I said, stuff just started happening,
That's right.
I said, that was one reason I don't want to be a landlord. But I said, that's part of it.
Those people don't give a damn anyway, so they ain't
right.
Trying to be careful for it. That's why I didn't do it with my other house. I thought about it for a minute. Then I was like, nah. Then I kind of talked myself in. So, well, just get one of these property managers to handle it, And then I'm like, why do I want to give myself that headache? Never mind. Let me sell this sucker and be done with it.
Yeah, and that's sort of the same thing with this. I said I didn't want to be renting it and going through all that issue. Like you say, you never know who you're going to get in there, and are they going to leave after the lease is up? Then you got to go look for somebody else, and then what are you going to get with them? So I said, you know, I said, I can handle the situation with being family and all that kind of thing. I said, it's not a big a deal. But, if something happens, if they move out, if they want to buy their own, I told them, I said, y'all get to the point where y'all think y'all might want to, buy this house. I said, at some point, it'll be sold. I don't want to be a landlord.
Right.
Yeah, 45 years is a long time. And I've actually known my partner, Rodney, a little bit longer than that since we met before he got married. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. Join us next time. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.